Hi guys, Kirk and Jay here with Kirk, Giordano, Plastering. Today what I'm going to show you guys is we're removing a loose painted color coat on this house here. I came here about a week ago and I told the fellow who owned it, well, I have to do some exploration to see what I'm even getting into, because wasn't quite sure. He says, well, we got efflorescence, and I thought that's not really efflorescence. That's another topic I won't get into, but what we did was Jay and I removed some areas, and then I just put it back together with an acrylic, but they didn't start with an acrylic. I said, I'll remove it, get an idea what the heck's going on there, and then I can give you a cost to do it. So we put an acrylic here. Now notice, acrylics are hard to get off, so I'm not looking forward to pulling this off, and I may not have to, but what they had here is the fellas came, and they weren't stucco guys, but they were a licensed company who did foundations. So where the failure came in is, guys, if you're going to do a color coat or a paint job, whether it's acrylic or cementitious, you've got to pressure wash the house first. That's where they failed. They did, however, apply a liquid bonding agent, or a weldcrete, as we call it. And you see this blue? This blue stuff on the back of their cementitious finish that was painted. Excuse me while I turn that phone off. Okay, the reason the blue is on the back of the cementitious finish is because they put it over a dusty finish. Nothing sticks to dust, guys. I'll give you an example of what we're going to do. Okay, chimneys are always the worst because you mow the lawns, dust goes in the air, it settles on these shoulders, and so we always have a worse area with a chimney. I already know that. And a parapet roof's the same thing. The dust settles on it after years of mowing the lawn or things of that nature. Then the dust drips down here when it rains, so that's why we pressure wash well, guys. Say, for example, on this chimney, I hate to do this without my mask on, but to prove a point, I can't talk with that mask on. What we do is we try to find the areas that are loose. Now, I told the guy who owns the house, I said, the chimney's going to be the worst. I expect to work on the chimney to pull the most off. And while we're on the topic of how to scrape or finish off, let me show you guys some things. This is just one of my tips, guys. You could use a chisel like this on a Bosch Bulldog. You could use a scraper like this on a Sawzall. You could use a trowel. If somebody took my good finish trowel and was about to use that, we don't use a finish trowel on scraping off. This is strictly for interior finishing. But getting back to it, a chisel or these little putty knives work the best because you got a good handle and you could really get in tight. So what we're going to do is, I got my brother Lou over here, and we're scraping it off. We're all three scraping it off. And how do you know when you're done? Well, you know you're done if you're coming here and no more comes off. That's when you're done. And I'm still going to pressure wash this. But the idea is, the fellow said, well, gee, I had a guy, he told me to take it here all the way to the wall here, and I said, maybe it'll come off, maybe it won't. But I wouldn't know unless we come out. The idea is, you could see the blue in some areas, and when you're rolling it on, sometimes it takes the dust off. So I said, what we'll do is, we'll just, if it comes off, it comes off. And then we're going to pressure wash it, we're going to get all the dust and dirt off, reapply another coat. And this coat here, what is it? First I thought it was an acrylic because it has a sheen to it. But what they did was they applied a La Habra coarse finish, then they floated that, that's why it's rough, then they textured it. Real simple to do. So we are going to match exactly what they did when we get to that stage. And anything like this, guys, that come off with a putty knife, that's the way to do it. These putty knives, especially this all-in-one, really sharp. So when we get to the next stage, we'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, we got off pretty much everything that's going to come off. I'll give you a tip. Okay, say like what we're doing here. I use water because I don't like to inhale the stuff. We get off everything that will come off, and then I score my edges because I'm going to feather into this, meaning my new finish is going to score into this. So I've got to prep it like that. Plus this gets rid of everything. The fellas who did this, I'll bet you there was about 8 guys, and what they did was they came with a water hose and they scraped it like this, and you can do that. With me, it's so much easier to bring my pressure washer out originally. So, I mean, you guys, if you don't have a pressure washer and you don't want to rent one, well, you can do what they did. And the reason this wall failed and none of the rest of the house did was because too many guys. One man's the boss and the other guy's getting paid by the hour. They just don't care, and it's hard to watch everybody. I used to have 15 guys, I know. But getting back on this, I told the homeowner, he was pretty distraught. He was like, wow, damn, what a drag. I said, man, it could be a lot worse, because I bid a job at Rio Vista only because it was on the river and I wanted to have lunch on the river. I bid it about this size. I think I was at $7 grand to pressure wash, apply the bonding agent, and a color coat. And she got somebody for $6 grand. She said, hey, sorry, Kirk. I said, no worries. Too far for me to go anyway. It's all the way past Antioch, Pittsburgh. A month later, she called me back and said, Kirk, it's all coming off in sheets. Well, that fella did two things wrong. He didn't pressure wash, and he didn't apply the bonding agent to the wall. He put the bonding agent in the mixer. If you put the bonding agent in the mixer, like some of the bottles say you can't, it dilutes it to nothingness. It's useless, guys. Don't ever do that, or it will come off just like this in a matter of 6 months to a year. So I told him, you're not bad. It's pretty much what I thought it was when I first got here. Anyway, loose, mixing up some cement. We're going to reapply another bonding agent to this, and I'm going to respread it. Nothing to it to match this finish here if you know how to do it. We'll show you that last phase when we get to it. Okay, guys, the fun part. My brother Lou is finishing up the bonding agent there. What I'm going to do now is what they did prior. And keep this in mind too, guys. The fellow who owned this house, he said, Kirk, can I have the whole thing sandblasted? In another state, maybe, it's illegal to sandblast here. So there was a time, early 80s, when I used to look at houses that we'd color coat, and I'd tell everybody, hey, call these guys, get a price for the sandblasting. Those days are gone. Why? I think it's because it spreads, say if there's lead in the paint or asbestos or any of that, it spreads it everywhere. Gets it in the soil, gets it everywhere. So we don't do that. That's not allowed anymore. And what I'm doing is I'm matching their depth. And all this rough edges here, that's for me to tie in so that when I'm done and my texture's on, you can't see these textures. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this out, texture it, and then I'll show you the end result because they're going to repaint this. Lastly, guys, too, I'll say, the fella who was before me, he was a licensed stucco guy, and he bid the whole thing $900. Obviously, I'm a lot less expensive, but I said, I can't get it all off. I don't know where it'll stop and start. There's the key, guys. How much do you want to take off? Do you want to spend thousands and have a crew of 10 guys take 8 hours to try to get this off? I wouldn't advise it, but some of you who watch might say, man, that's what I would have done if it were my own house. I'd do this. Will some areas come off in the future? More than likely, yeah. But it's a choice. You gotta know how much money you're willing to spend and what you're getting for your money. This guy chose what I would have done myself. Anyway, I'm gonna finish feathering in this, and then I'm gonna texture it. And when I'm done with everything, we'll show you the conclusion. Okay, guys, this is what really takes the practice. Time in, talent, whatever you want to call it. We've spread this. Now I've floated in all my joints. Let me show you. See, this is done. I'm getting ready to texture this now. And actually, Jay, I told him don't finish the rest. Jay was finishing this one. Let me show you right here, guys. These guys who did the finish, they got kind of gung-ho. Color coat's only 1/8 of an inch. They went 1/4, so it takes more time to float it in. They're like, you see that joint right there. You got to take water and float in the new to the existing. And if you can do this transition, feathering in, tie in, what we call it, just right, your texture is going to come out so much better because, again, they're going to paint all this. And when they paint it, we don't want it to be shown. I'll show you one more time on this area I haven't even touched yet. Okay, see this nasty little stuff? This is what it looks like after you trowel it down. Now the real skill is right here. You feather it all in. Remember earlier I said they applied the finish, then they floated it. I can see that. It looks like sandpaper here, and then they textured over it. So I got to give it the same sandpaper look, and knowing your materials is a big deal. I know they used a 1620. What the heck is a 1620? Just technical terms meaning sand. There's 3 grits in almost every cementitious finish on the market. And even the acrylic finishes are very similar, where you have fine, which is the sand is usually 30, 40. Then you have medium, which the sand is usually 20, 30. That goes for cementitious as well as acrylics. Then you have this one I'm using here. This sand, the technical name is, you can call it coarse, but we call it 1620. That's the size of the aggregate or the sand. So I've got to use the exact same sand, otherwise even I can't match it, and I've been doing this forever. Okay, you see there's the floating, and then we're going to come with the texture. Okay guys, we are doing the texture now. A couple things I want to point out, like Jay said to me, wow, they went so thick. These guys did go about a 1/4 inch thick. You don't do that with a color coat. You skim it, keep your trowel on edge, not flat like that. That's for browning. Anyway, now what we're doing is we are taking our texture into theirs. A minute ago I had some soup. If it's fallen off of your hawk, it's too soupy. This is about just right. I could make it work. Now what I'm doing is seeing if there's any clinkers in here by passing it on the hawk and trowel a couple times, just like that. Now what I want to do is I want to put it on real light, guys. It doesn't matter if you take it from the top, doesn't matter if you take it from the bottom. That's not what's important. The important thing is, look at what they got. They've got such a light finish. It's barely, if I hold my trowel and use pressure, I'm not going to match that. I'm going to have pancakes. So what I'm doing is very light, guys. Just a tiny bit on the trowel. I can't take 6 or 8 foot swipes to match this. It'll be too pancake-ish. Now, what I do is flip my trowel a little bit, flip it. Ooh, that's bright sun. Okay, and another thing too, guys. I had a fella say, hey, your videos are too long. Dude, we ain't making music videos. We wish. It's a show. What takes 6 hours to accomplish 3 guys? It got to be over 3 minutes. I don't have that big of an attention span myself, but the videos are what they are as far as time. I like the young fellas who say, man, I watch your videos, I'm working for this company, and I'm always showing them some new stuff. I use your videos as an example to learn a bunch of stuff. I say more power to you young fellas. That's the way to do it. And if you go to an area that's too thick, scrape it off, guys. If your edges, just take it, scrape it off. Okay. Now, light. Just like snowboarding, guys, I'm barely touching this trowel. Barely touching it. Just letting it skip itself. And there you have it, guys. If you like what we do, please subscribe. From Jason and I, we want to thank you folks for watching. And as usual, we'll see you guys on the next fix. Once again, folks, we thank you for watching, and I really enjoy all your comments.
If you guys like this video, please click the like button down below. And also, if you enjoy what we do, subscribe to our channel so we can keep making these videos for you.
My name is Kirk.
And Jay.
We thank you for watching, and from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.